Hello friends, it is time for another round of Read It or Delete It. This is a series that I have on my channel that helps me tackle my Kindle TBR. I have so many books on my Kindle, from Stuff Your Kindle Days, NetGalley args, just random Kindle sales, things I bought because I want to read them. You list it, I have a reason to have it. And honestly, the Kindle is a place where books just go to be forgotten about. I put them on my Kindle, I forget that I own them, and some things have been sitting on there for quite some time. So this series is to help me either read them or delete them from my Kindle because I'm no longer interested in reading them and bring down that Kindle TBR. Now, since it is almost Easter, I thought a fun way to pick these books would be with Easter eggs. So I gave my Kindle over to my mother and said, pick any books that you want and put them in the Easter eggs, which truly means there could literally be anything in here. There could be shifter smut, there could be NetGalley arcs, there could be fantasy, there could be romance, there could be alien romances. Literally anything could be in here because there is literally something from every era of reading that I have ever had on my Kindle. There's a little bit of everything. So truly, I don't know what's in here and I don't know what I'll be reading during this vlog, but I'm really interested to find out. So we are gonna pull our first egg, find out what our first book is, and get started on reading. So let's shake them around. Let's give them a little shake and let's reach in and see what we get. Okay, we got a gold one. Is that good? I have no idea. Okay, let's open it up. Let's see what's inside. I don't know what this is. It's called Defy the Stars. Truly, no idea. This must be from Stuff Your Kindle Day because I think if it wasn't, I would know what it was. But I don't know what it is other than that, like, it might be sci-fi. It could also be romance. I don't know. I'll put a cover here. Editing me will put the cover here. Anyway, I'm going to go find this book on my Kindle and get started on it. So I actually started and finished this on Thursday sprints. It is a very small book. It is only like a 5-hour audiobook, and at my speed, it was like 2.5. But since I didn't know what this book was, I literally told you no things. So let's talk about what this is. Truly, I don't think this is my vibe, but it was a fast read and there was really nothing wrong with it. And it was quite a quick palate cleanser after reading so many big fantasies recently. So that was kind of nice. It is very YA. It is a YA alien romance that follows Alex and Ace. Alex, her father is in the Air Force and she's 18. She's about to go to college and she's looking for an internship. So he brings her to the place where he works, which is an alien like center on Earth. Now, most people don't know aliens exist. It really felt like Men in Black, to be honest. Like even the way the building was described, if you've seen Men in Black, you will be able to picture what this place was like. Ace is an alien who works at this facility as well because some aliens also work there. And she ends up having to work with Ace and they have a relationship, which causes like an international, but not international, like galactical situation because humans and aliens are not supposed to be together. So I am just not the target audience for this book, and that was very obvious while reading it. It was very much teenagers doing teenager things. Ace is 18, kind of, because it's almost like a vampire type situation where when he came to Earth, he stopped aging. So he's been on Earth for a long time, but he's like stuck at the age of 18, which has its own set of issues. Take that on if you feel like that's something that isn't triggering for you. Again, it's very similar to like a Twilight, Edward and Bella situation. And the other thing it actually reminded me of a lot of like TV things because I've already said it reminded me of Men in Black, but it also reminded me of Supergirl and the way that her and Monel's, like Kara and Manel's relationship was. Obviously they were adults, so it's different in that sense. But this idea, and she's an alien in that, but I don't know, it just gave me those vibes, especially during like the galactic incident. It really gave me those vibes. So it kind of felt like the author kind of pulled from like various pop culture TV shows and movies and made this book. Whether that's true, I don't know. I mean, a lot of stories are reminiscent of other stories, but I think if you were a younger reader and wanted just like something fun, a fun little romantic sci-fi, this would be something that you would pick up. And it is the start of the series. You can definitely tell that there is more to this story. It leaves off with more to come. And I'm going to give it 3 stars, mostly because it's just not really what I would pick up now. It's not my vibe, but it was like a fast, quick palate cleanser. Anyway, it was so fast, I didn't do a mid-book update because there wouldn't have been anything to tell you mid-book that would be different from right now. It took me 3 hours. So let's see what else is in these eggs. Because again, truly, I'm not the one who put the stuff in here. My mother put them in here, so I don't even know what's in here. Will it be another short book? Will it be a book I even know that is on my Kindle? Because I didn't know that was on the Kindle. Honestly, truly, did not know. Don't know why it was on there. Stuff your Kindle day. That's why. So let's pick another egg. Ooh, we've got an orange one this time. Okay, let me put that down. And let's see what's in here. Escape from Down Under. I actually think I know what this is. I think it's a romance. I think this might be a sports romance, honestly. I'll put it here. I could be wrong. I may come back to you after I pull it up on the Kindle and start reading this and say, no, it's not a sports romance, but I think it is. Anyway, let's go find that on the Kindle. Let's see if it has an audiobook. I lucked out with Defy the Stars having an audiobook. I will say, actually, going back to that, would not recommend the audiobook. I would just physically read it. I didn't love the narrator on the audiobook, but it made it go faster. So there we go. Anyway, gonna go look at that. And I will check back with you once I've started this. So I was wrong. This is not a sports romance. It's an office romance, which I do like a good office romance. So that's fine by me. The first thing I noticed opening this up was that the formatting on the ebook is not great. There are no chapters. It is table of contents, end of book. And that concerned me that there were no chapters in this book, and there aren't and there are. So we have like, hold on, I'll just open it up. So there's like perspective changes between our like female character and our male character. And also times where like there will just be a break and we'll have a Jess chapter and then like another Jess chapter. So they aren't numbered, but there are like natural breaks in the book. I do wish it was formatted correctly, but you know what? Sometimes with Kindle books, that happens. I'm willing to overlook that. And honestly, I'm having a good time. Is it a good book? No, but like I'm having fun reading it. I do feel like with Stuff Your Kindle Day books, I go in with a different mindset for those. And I think I go in with like a lower level of expectation. So I'm okay to just like vibe with a Stuff Your Kindle Day book. And then if it's better than that, I get excited. This one needed some editing. There are some issues with it. There are a lot of spelling mistakes. There are a lot of repeated kind of phrases back to back. So it does feel quite repetitive in its style of writing. But like I'm interested in the romance. So here we are. Is it a healthy romance? No, this is not what we should all strive for. He is very domineering and it works for what they're doing, but like overall, no, it's kind of like a toxic romance. But again, I read dark romance sometimes. This doesn't give off dark romance vibes and it's not, but yeah, anyway, it's fine. I'm vibing with it and I'm having fun reading it. It's like a fun, quick read. In this book, we follow Jess. Jess works at this office and has worked there for a long time, is very close to the person who owns it, Mal, and his wife, Daisy. And they have decided to like expand the business into Australia, hence the Down Under part. Now, I will say at 50% in, I have not reached the Australia part of this book. I would like to know when we're actually getting to Australia because it seems like we're taking a long time to get there, but that's another thing. Mal brings in someone from Australia, an Australian, a businessman that he knows to help with this expansion. And that is Max. And Jess and Max are our romance. And almost instantly they fall into a sexual relationship. It is very, very fast. You blink and you miss the lead up. Honestly, it's so, so fast. She's just come out of a relationship, so she's really looking at this as a rebound. He is kind of a womanizer from what I can gather, and is very used to just like having casual relationships with women and is expecting that from this. But again, it is a romance, so I do expect, you know, at some point the feelings to like amp up with these characters. I'm kind of already seeing that at 50% in. I'm really interested to see how the second half of this romance goes, because like on paper, I shouldn't be really enjoying this book enough to like even continue it, but I'm vibing and I'm going to just continue to do so and see how the second half of this book goes. So I was on Patreon Sprints the other night, 3 nights ago now, and I was reading this book and I was making progress. And I think the fact that I was on Sprints helped me keep moving through this book because I liked it less and less than I was in the first bit. All the formatting issues, the spelling mistakes, the editing errors really just started to bother me more and more. And I cared less about the story in the second half than I did in the first. So that wasn't gripping me nearly as much. But because I was on Sprints, that was keeping me going. It was keeping me motivated. I was making it through. And when those sprints ended, I had 45 minutes left, according to the Kindle in this book. 45 minutes. That was 3 days ago. I have tried to pick up this book 2 times since. I'll read like 2 to 3 pages and I just can't do it and I put it down. 2 to 3 pages, can't do it, put it down. And last night I was talking to Neva and I was like, I'm so close to the end. I should just finish it. And she was like, girl, DNF it. DNF this book. You're not liking it. It's read it and delete it. The entire point is that we either read it or we delete it. So you could just delete it. And I was like, you have a point. You have a point, friend. So the problem with a vibes book, which I don't usually read for vibes, I'm not much of a mood reader. So I don't necessarily read for vibes all the time. Every once in a while I will, but it's not very common. The problem with a vibes book is that if your vibes change or the vibes of the book change, you no longer like the book. And I think that's exactly what happened. I was willing to overlook a lot of things because I was vibing. And then when I no longer was vibing with this book, it was hard to continue with it. So I have DNF'd this book and I have decided to put it down, be done. I didn't really like once they were more together. And then once they got to Australia, I really just was like, whatever. Nothing about this was really working for me anymore. There was a lot of miscommunication in the second half of this book. So yeah, we're just going to DNF it. We're going to delete it off the Kindle and we're going to move on to our next egg pull. Now, I was on those sprints getting very close to the end of this book, and my patrons wanted to do a live egg pull on sprints. So I have clips from that StreamYard footage night of us on sprints and me pulling the Easter egg and seeing what I got. So we're going to cut to that footage and then come back and we'll talk about the book that I pulled. Yes, a live reveal. Yes, a live reveal. If I get close or finished, we'll do a live reveal. So, are we ready to see what my next read it or delete it, which depending on what it is, will be my final read it or delete it book for this like round. Because if it has an audiobook, I might be able to get another one in. If it doesn't, questionable. So let's see what we get. I am so nervous, friends, as to what is in here. Truly, I'm so nervous. Okay, we have like a gold one. Let's see what we got. Ooh, this has an audio. This has an audio because I know exactly what this book is. I know exactly what this is. Oh, that's exciting. It's I Would Die For You. And this is a thriller that I have the NetGalley arc of, or not even the NetGalley arc of, like I got an ebook like widget from the publisher, but it's out. It came out like a week ago. So that means the audiobook is out now. So we got the NetGalley arc of I Would Die For You by Sandy Jones. This has already gone out. This is out in the universe and it is already out. I am behind on my arcs. It happens. Things happen. But I am going to be reading this and I do have the audio. So this should read fairly quickly. I will say the Kindle doesn't have the cover. So I will like insert it here because it is a NetGalley arc. They don't always have like the covers attached. But yeah, this is a thriller. The publisher messaged me and said, hey, do you want a widget for the NetGalley arc of it? And I said, sure, why not? Do I read a lot of thrillers? No, but I think at the time I was like, oh, I'm going to try and use thrillers as palate cleansers, which I have been doing this year quite a bit. So I think that was the reason I said yes. Truly, I don't remember. It was a while ago. We're going to read this NetGalley arc. It shouldn't take too long because it is a thriller and thrillers do tend to read very quickly. Plus, I have the audiobook from Everand. So a lot of ways that I'm going to be consuming this while I do housework and various things like that. So hopefully I would like this thriller. I'm really excited to kind of make a little teeny tiny dent on my NetGalley by reading down one of my many NetGalley arcs. To 52% of I Would Rather Die for You. In this book, we follow Nicole, and we follow Nicole in two timelines. The current timeline, which is her, she's married, she's living in the United States, and she is trying to save the seals. She also has a daughter who is Hannah, and Hannah one day is picked up from school by someone saying that it is her aunt. It is not her aunt, and she goes missing. Nicole goes to get her off the bus. She's not on the bus, and it starts this search for Hannah and how and who took Hannah. Right before Nicole finds out that she has lost her daughter, that her daughter has gone missing, a reporter shows up at her door wanting to interview her about this band, which I forget the name of the band, but it was like an up and coming boy band back in the 80s. And somehow Nicole has something to do with this band and knew the members of the band and potentially knows something about a tragedy that happened with the band. And that's what we know. And we also have the past timeline of Nicole being a young adult, her sister Cassie, who is a big fan of this band, and I think kind of how they get involved in this, and their family. There's a lot going on in their family at the time. Their mother is very sick with cancer, and we're watching the family kind of grapple with that as well as being kind of connected to this very popular rising band. And the main singer of the band, Ben, seems to be the biggest connection with the sisters. And we keep flipping back and forth between now and then to see if what happened then is somehow influencing now and kind of how they connect. I really am interested in the current timeline. The current timeline is my favorite timeline. However, I think this book is about 75% in the past, 25% in the current timeline. So unfortunately, that's the timeline I care the most about, and it's the timeline we're spending the least amount of time in. The past timeline's okay. I'm just not as fascinated by that story, but I'm sure I need that story to know what's going on. I'm sure they connect somehow. It must. I just don't fully know at this point how they do. I haven't pieced that together yet. But I'm enjoying that timeline a lot more, and I wish we were spending more time in that timeline. But at this point, I'm really intrigued into what's going on, and I do really need to know what's happening in this thriller. I want to put all the pieces together. I have my suspicions, and I could be right. That happens with thrillers, that sometimes you can piece it together yourself. But I'm here for the ride. It's a really quick read. It's a 5-hour audiobook at my listening speed, so I only have just over 2 hours left. So I'm going to dive in and finish that pretty quickly, probably while I do a little bit of housework today or tomorrow. It's the weekend, so I always have a little bit of time while I'm just doing, house stuff. And since I have an audiobook and it's a thriller, it's a really easy listen while I do other stuff. Well, we are ending this episode of Read It or Delete It on a low note because I am going to give this book 1 whole star. And I'm going to explain why and why I finished it and didn't delete it and DNF it in the middle, because there are reasons I chose to do that as well. First of all, I did not find any of these characters likable, especially in the second half of this book. Even if you kind of liked them in the beginning, you didn't at any time near the end of this book. There was also a lot happening in the end of this book, but it felt very messy. And it really felt like we just left so many plot points completely unwrapped up. We just left strings everywhere. And it's one thing to have an ambiguous ending, if that's what you want to call leaving things unwrapped up, but I don't think that was the case in this. I think we literally just were like, well, drop that, wrap up the book really fast. And it felt so rushed and so incomplete. The book feels completely incomplete. So incomplete. So we had characters that were somewhat insufferable, honestly, especially in the past timeline. But even as we started to realize why the past timeline was influencing the current timeline became very irritating and just didn't make any sense. Like, nothing made sense. It was just so messy. Messy is the word for it. It was just messy. It wasn't twisty with like smart, well thought out twists. It was messy. And then on top of that, I'm going to talk about a trigger warning that's in this book, which I actually didn't know when I picked it up. It's not a trigger for me, so like it's okay that it was in the book, but I did not appreciate the way it was handled in the book. And that is SA. There is a rather descriptive SA scene in the middle of this book. And you are actually just kind of like going along and then boom, you are blindsided with the graphicness of this scene. Is it the most graphic scene I've ever read? No, but it was significantly upped in graphicness from what I would expect to see in a thriller like this. And it took me aback. It took me aback for a minute, and I sat there thinking, was the level that it was described in the book necessary for the plot? Necessary for maybe some commentary we're trying to put in this book? And the answer that I came to as I read the book, which was the reason I did want to finish it, I wanted to finish it to fully say no. No. It really felt like we had a shock and awe moment, and that was the only purpose for it. And I do not appreciate or think it is correct to have violence towards women just in there for shock and awe and not to be a part of moving a story forward. If it's really needed to be in there for what you are trying to say, I can maybe get on board with that, because if you are trying to make a statement about how violence towards women is handled in the media, how it's handled by the police, okay, I'll give you that. But if it is just in there to shock the reader with no purpose, no, I can't handle that. And I can't say that's okay to have sensationalized violence towards women in a book or in a show or anywhere. Like, I just don't, that doesn't sit right with my soul. And in my opinion, that's what this was. That's what it felt like to me when we hit it in the book, and the subsequent things that happened after did not make the reason for it being there line up for me. The only book that I can remember that I've said this about on this channel is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I long ago did a vlog where I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And that, again, was a book that I did push through to finish, just so that I could say that I did feel like it was really sensationalizing, couldn't say the word, violence against women. And it didn't sit with me well in that book. It didn't sit with me well in this book. The one difference in that is that that was written by a man. This is written by a woman. But that doesn't help it. That doesn't make it better. So this is going to be my first 1-star book of the year. I don't plan on having a ton of 1 stars. I would normally DNF a book, but I really wanted to see if what I felt was true, and if there was anything past that point that would make me say, okay, the author was trying to make a statement. Okay, maybe that made sense for why it was in the book, and it never happened. And then the ending just was so unfinished, and everything was just so messy, and all the things I've already said. So 1 whole star. I will be obviously deleting it from the Kindle because, you know, why would I keep a book that I gave 1 star to? I will not be. And honestly, I'll be deleting all 3 books. The first book because it's just not my vibe, and I'm definitely not the target audience for a YA alien romance. The second because I DNF'd it. And now this one because I gave it a whole 1 star. So this was not necessarily the most successful round of Read It or Delete It, but you know what? We're gonna give it a try again. We're gonna try again because the first round of Read It or Delete It, I have one of my best books of the year. So you know what? There is hope. And I already know how I will be picking my books in the next round of Read It or Delete It, but I will let you just wait and see when that is coming, because it will be coming soon. I do plan to kind of like jump into it like in the next week or so. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you so, so much. If you have nothing to say to me down in the comments, but want to just let me know that you were here, want to just say hi, leave me the alien emoji for the alien romance that I read at the start of this, which was our most successful book of the bunch. Who would have thought? Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.